needed to talk to him about it. Without further ado, let us say hello to the one and only Cody Law. There he is. Cody, how are you, sir?
Good, man. How you doing?
I mean, this is quite the setup here. Holy smokes. Is this your house?
Yeah,
Where are you right now?
I'm at one of my sponsors, Accent Sledge. This is their headquarters, and they have a big whiskey bookshelf.
I mean, that
So I
is
thought it would
just
be a good
tremendous.
bag.
I appreciate this. I mean, between like the turtleneck, the beard, the back, I mean, like you're like straight out of a commercial. By the way, I want to give you props on your style. I love the suits. I love that you come, ready to go. You look like a true pro. I also love that, and this is, a few guys have done this over the years. You like to get your hands wrapped, I noticed, while still wearing at least part of the suit, the shirt. You maybe take off the jacket and the tie, but you're still wearing. Why is that? It's very sort of, with all due respect, like American Psycho-esque. I like it. It's very Rory McDonald-esque. Why do you do that?
Yeah, I think that's maybe why. I don't know. I think it makes for a good picture.
Okay.
And I like the way I feel when I'm wearing that. You know what I mean? So it's like, might as well keep my stuff on, get my hands wrapped, and then I don't really put my fight stuff on until afterwards.
Interesting.
So, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I just kind of did it from the first fight on.
Well, it's a good look, and well done. Now, I have to ask about this. Okay, so a lot of people don't believe me. They don't believe you. Tell us the whole story here. What happened? When did you write this down? And I understand that this is something you've been doing for quite some time, right?
Yeah, I've been writing stuff down for years. I used to write stuff down even from my amateur fights, but when I first started fighting for Bellator, I would get to the hotels and they'd always have a notebook or like a little notepad sitting out with a pen. And I just started writing it down, because I believe in that kind of stuff. And specifically this week, I think Tuesday night, I got to the hotel and they had the little Renaissance tablet out. And I thought, right before bed, I'll write this down real quick. I like to write it down as if it would look in a stat book. If the next day I woke up and I'm reading the results of the fight and there it is. So I wrote that down and just kind of left it there. And then the day of the fight, I think Abe was hanging out in my room with me. And, he asked me, he's like, yo, what's this? And I told him about it. And I guess he took a picture of it right there and then. And I win the fight at minute 17. And here we are.
Why do you write 117? Like, what drew you to that number?
I was going to write 115. And I thought that sounds too generic. Like it was too standard, 115. So I was like, I'll make it 170. Just off the top of my head. Yeah.
Now you've done, so you're 6-0 now. Have you done this for the 5 prior fights as well?
I think so. Yeah. I think I was close on maybe my 4th fight. I think we have pictures. I know my coaches take pictures sometimes, so I probably have the pictures somewhere, but I've done them for, I think all 6 fights now, but this is the first one, obviously, that was right on the money.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. Have you gotten like somewhat close, like a few seconds off, or is this the closest by far that you've ever gotten?
Definitely, this is obviously, this is closest. I think number 4, I was pretty close, maybe like 30 seconds off.
And why do you do this? And in what other aspects of your life do you do this?
I started doing this specifically like the beginning of 2020. I kind of got back into the whole writing things down that you want to happen. And so I started this routine every morning where I would write like 3 things down every day in a notebook as if they already happened. Like I'm reading them. Oh, this already happened. And I started to notice that these things would come true for me. Like a lot of the things I would write down would happen. I wrote things down like that I would end up getting a contract from Bellator, that I would be, they don't always happen. Like I wrote that I would end 2021, I think 6-0, and I only ended at 5-0. But these are things I like to do. And I've been kind of on a routine with it. And I think that it's real. I think it's real.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, at what point on Saturday, I'm assuming it's some point in the arena or something, like at what point you realize you actually nailed this?
As soon as I knocked him out and I was running around the cage, Abe was cage side, and Abe just pointing. There's a video of Abe and he's pointing at me. He's like, you called it. And I thought 117. And I started asking people in the cage, what was the finish time? And someone said 115. And I thought, well, that's still awesome, way. And then I found out as I was walking out, I think Abe yelled at me that it was 117. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
The crazy thing to me is like, you're somewhat nonchalant about all of this. You freaking predicted it to the second. I mean, when he saw it, I'll be honest, I asked him 3 times. I'm like, there's no way you just wrote this down. There's no way that he nailed it to the second. And he's like, no, I promise. I swear on my kid's life. I swear on. And I was like, all right, fine. You're going to go that route. Like, then I believe you. But like, I would be, I mean, even I saw at the post-fight press conference, you were asked about it. You're just kind of like, yeah, I did it. No big deal. That's insane.
Yeah, I think it's not like super. Obviously, this is like, what are the odds? Me and Mike were talking about it. Mike Brown. I said it's like 1 in a million, and Mike was like, "Well, no, this. How many seconds are in a fight?" And we broke it down. It was like 1 in 900 or something. But it's happened for me so much that it's not really that crazy to me. You know,
Wow.
I mean, the second is crazy. Don't get me wrong, but it's something I've been doing for so long now, and it comes true so often. I was like, yeah, well, of course.
You know, your story is a great one. You went to Penn State. You wanted to be a champion. You transferred. You ended up becoming a Division II champion. I believe you were brought to ATT just to help Jorge Masvidal prepare for Kamaru Usman. You loved it so much, you've stayed ever since, right? And it's been, you know, I think it's almost unfair to say this, but I see people talking about like, oh, tough stretch for ATT, you know, Amanda, Dustin, Jorge. But there's a bunch of fighters at ATT that we don't talk about and don't give them the credit for victories. But it has been, you know, the high profile fights just last weekend. Jorge, did you feel like, all right, I'm going to do something. I'm going to get spirits up. Mike's in my corner. He was just there last weekend. It was an emotional weekend for the team. Did you put that kind of pressure on yourself?
Put that kind of pressure on myself, but I know what you're talking about because I think I saw on Twitter somebody had tweeted about like, wow, ATT is like going downhill or something along those lines. And I thought, well, we have so many great guys. You can't swim without getting wet, right? Of course, some people are going to lose. We're going to have ups and downs. But I was excited for me, Johnny, and Roman to go fight. I knew we were all going to win, and I thought it would be good for the team, you know, to go out there. Me and Roman had good finishes, and Johnny took out the number one guy. Right, Salter was number one, so it was fun. I like that stuff. I like to represent ATT, and when we have multiple guys on a card together like that, it's so much fun.
There's a lot of young guys like yourself with your background in Bellator right now. Johnny being another one, Roman as well. Johnny said some mean things about Gegard that I can't get behind. I mean, he called him old. I mean, how mean is that? But he is very impressive. I'm just curious, are they treating you well? Are you happy there? Because I know you recently re-signed with them. Do you feel like they are treating you well and that this is a good spot for you?
I love it, man. I wouldn't want to be anywhere, honestly. It's been, well, first of all, 6 fights. I had 5 fights in 12 months, which is amazing, right? They gave me 5 fights in 12 months. And now I've just got another fight. Hopefully I fight again in the summertime. Everything I ask for, they give me. They give me fights every time I ask. They haven't said no once to my fights. And I love it there, man. All the people that work there, everyone's so nice to me. There hasn't been a single bad experience for me so far.
My understanding is you grew up, you know, you liked combat, you liked fighting. But you were watching UFC 129, Georges St-Pierre, Jake Shields, and that was the one that made you think, like, I want to do this, right?
Yeah.
What about that fight?
That was the one.
What was it about that fight that made you want to do this?
I think it was the walkout. I don't know. Was that fight in Canada maybe?
Yeah, 55,000.
Yeah.
It was gigantic.
Yeah, the walkout. When George walked out and the crowd was going crazy, I remember I was a young kid, you know, maybe 14. And I thought, wow, I want to do that. That's amazing. I want to walk out and have that many people cheering for me someday. And George has always been like my favorite fighter. And because of that moment, I am where I'm at right now.
It's interesting because I was there for that fight. It was a big deal as a Canadian. It was a big deal for the sport. But he actually got booed at the end of that fight because he hurt his eye and the fight towards the end was a little bit dull. And yet, so it's interesting to me that that's the one that made you want to really do this because it actually wasn't one of his greatest fights and greatest performances.
Yeah, I don't mind. I never did Georges St-Pierre's fights. I think he was the smartest fighter, you know, and so it's like a gold standard to how to approach a career. I felt like, so even though people boo, but they're not in there, they don't know what it's like.
Sure.
I never had a problem with it.
We have a picture of you. It's like one of those fighter portraits. You're shirtless, you're topless, and when I read the thing about GSP, and then I saw the picture. I was wondering, because the tattoo on your chest is the exact same one that he has, right? Is that because of him?
It's not the exact same. It doesn't. Okay. It's not the same exact symbols, but yeah,
it looks the same. You did get it.
It's similar. I got it, yeah, because I liked his so much, and he was like my favorite fighter. And I was young too, and I thought, oh, this would be really cool. And I don't know, man. I was probably like 17 years old, 18 when I got that.
Wait, so what does yours mean?
Mine means sacrifice.
And what does his mean?
I don't know exactly what his means. I think his has like a kind of a longer meaning I read somewhere.
Okay. But that
is one.
Is that in honor of him?
Yeah, it was inspired by his, yeah.
And why did you go with sacrifice?
I don't know. For me, I just feel like with what I do at that time, I was a wrestler, and in wrestling, like you sacrifice so much, and still to this day, right? I sacrifice a whole lot to be where I'm at. You know, I don't get to live, I don't get to do all the things that I would maybe want to do. I have to sacrifice a lot of different experiences for other experiences. To be in Bellator, to fight for a living, to be the best ever, you have to make a lot of sacrifices. So I think it's still one of those tattoos that holds true today for me.
The decision to leave, I mean, Penn State is a powerhouse, right, when it comes to NCAA wrestling. I'm not an aficionado when it comes to NCAA wrestling, but I know obviously Cael Sanderson and all that. That decision, how difficult was that for you? Because I read a quote where you said, like, look, we're going to win as a team, and I actually give you a lot of credit for this. You don't hear a lot of people say this. What I read that you said was, I want to win a championship for myself too, and so I'm going to make this move. Is that accurate? Did you say that? And if so, why did you ultimately make that move and not try to just win as a champion at Penn State?
I don't remember when or exactly what I said.
Okay.
But it's similar. Yeah, that was kind of the gist of it. Of course, like we were winning titles as a team, but ultimately I want to someday be able to say I'm national champion. And it was a tough decision in the moment because my dream was to wrestle at Penn State. And yeah, I was 20, 21 years old. I didn't want to leave. It was hard. How do you tell your coaches you're leaving, your teammates you're leaving? But ultimately, it was the best decision I ever made because I transferred to UPJ, Pitt Johnstown, Division II. Wrestled for Coach Pecora. It was like a father to me now. And obviously, I go on to win a national title. So I got to reach that goal. And I met my coach, Isaac Greeley, who was an All-American for UPJ. Isaac Greeley ends up being my MMA coach when I first start training MMA. Isaac gets me, shows me the ropes of MMA. Through Isaac, I meet Malky and Abe. Through Malky and Abe, I get brought down to ATT. I get down to ATT. I get into Bellator. Through all these different things, all the way back to my decision leading to transferring to UPJ, I end up where I'm at now with first round, with ATT, with Bellator. So it all worked out,
Wow.
Best decision ever.
Changed the course of your life.
Yeah, dramatically. Because who knows? Like where would I have started MMA at if I had stayed at Penn State? I don't know how it would have worked out. But through going to UPJ, I met amazing people, and now here I am. Like I'm an American top team in Bellator, first round. It's amazing.
The writing things down before they happen. I think it was one of your teammates or maybe one of your coaches that wrote me on Twitter. Is that a Cael Sanderson thing or is that a Penn State thing?
Yeah. It was Quentin Wright, I think, who tweeted that. Yeah. Okay. Quentin Wright's 2-time or 3-time NCAA champion.
I'm sorry. See, I'm such a noob. Yeah, I don't mean to like disrespect them. I just know nothing. You would think with all the people like around MMA that are wrestling legends, gods, Daniel Cormier. I just don't. For some reason, I never quite. I spend too much time talking about MMA is probably my thing. So I don't mean to insult him. Thank you for saying his name.
Yeah. Quentin was a beast. National champ for Penn State. But he was right. Yeah, at Penn State, Cael and the coaching staff did teach us a lot of that kind of stuff. We would draw pictures of ourselves on the podium. We would do these kind of exercises that you wouldn't really think you'd hear a college wrestling team do. But we would take pictures of ourselves on a fake podium. We would write goals down, do all kinds of. That's kind of where I really learned about visualization.
I got a lot of heat when I tweeted this. I don't know if you saw, like a lot of people called me gullible, an idiot. I mean, like a lot. I took a lot of bullets for you guys on this one, but I believed it. I don't know, something about it. You don't seem like the kind of guy to make this up.
Yeah, thanks for having my back there. I actually have it with me because I was like, well, I should probably keep this. So I brought it home with me and this little notepad, this Renaissance on the top of it. It was one of those things where I seen people being like, this is so fake. I was like, why would I ever go to the lengths of doctoring? I don't even know how would you doctor a photo to make the timestamp different? I don't know how that.
Well, the thing about the timestamp was like, so it said 3:05 on it from the one that Abe sent me. And they're like, oh, you can just change your clock to Pacific time zone, which would then be 6:05. Oh, sorry, it would make us 6:05, but you didn't fight till like 6:30. So even with that, it would have been before. Yeah. People are just
then I also tweeted to you. I tweeted you a different screenshot of a timestamp. Isaac, that coach I was just talking about, was in my room the night before and took a picture. So I tweeted you one that said 10:06 yesterday.
Yes.
Also, Abe, when did Abe send you the photo of that? Right after I fought, right?
Yeah.
What do people think? Abe was sitting in the crowd with a Renaissance book waiting to write this down as soon as whatever time I finished.
Golly.
It's crazy.
What are you going to do with that?
I don't know. I guess I'm in Pennsylvania right now. My family home is here, so I always come home to Pennsylvania. Probably leave it in my room.
Yeah, man. And I'm assuming you're going to keep this going?
Yeah, always.
I love it.
Wouldn't it be crazy if I did it twice?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, now every time the thing is, we need it before your fights now. Like we need just to avoid all of this. I think does that ruin it if you tweet it out? If you share it with the world, does that ruin it? Okay.
Would there be a way to take a video of like, I don't know, take a video and really.
Next one, you text it to me. I will keep it, and then I will have it approved. Okay.
I'll start texting you them every fight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so we're hoping to come back in the summer.
Yeah, I would like to fight in June. I think we'll see, but that gives me April and May. Like maybe take a week or two here to recover a little bit, and then start training again. When I'm at ATT, I'm basically in camp.
Right.
If you're at ATT, you're training for a fight. So at any point they could call me and say, hey, we want to fight in 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, let's do it. Maybe I could fight 4 times this year.
Well, this is incredible. Both Malky and Abe have been talking about you a lot. And obviously have been watching your fights in Bellator. To hit this is just unbelievable. Congratulations, my man. You're undefeated. You're finishing everyone except for that one dude early on. But I mean, all the fights, you're not fighting like a wrestler, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, you are knocking people out. It's very impressive. So keep it up. I wish you nothing but the best. Continued success to you. And I hope you nail the next one and maybe buy a lottery ticket or something this week and see how far this can extend.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for having me on, man. This is an honor. It's really, it's pretty cool to be on here. So
my pleasure.
I'll be on again when I do this.
Deal. It is a deal, my friend. All the best to you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Ariel.
All right, there he is, Cody Law. Unbelievable story. If you don't believe him, you're just a jackass at this point. Believe the guy.